Kinder Bueno YouTube, Mike here, Dezaras Prime, back for the final part of my Combiner Wars Superion review with today the main torso, Silverbolt. Now, I'm going to level with you. The main issue I have with this figure is my own fault. It's an apocalypse of my own creation. That's an exaggeration, but still. It's starting to yellow a little bit. The other ones are all fine, but Silverbolt is starting to show signs of yellowing. He was, along with Optimus Prime, the first Combiner Wars figure I bought right when they dropped, so I've had him a few years now. And a couple of those years were spent in my old place where I was allowed to smoke inside. Yeah, I'm a smoker. Like I said, it's my own fault, really, that he's starting to yellow a little bit. Because you can't expect Hasbro to take into account smokers. Oh, we've got to find good white plastic that won't yellow. No. Although I will say there are other figures I've had longer. Masterpiece Star Saber, but that's a higher quality. But other figures I've had longer that haven't yellowed. But again, you can't expect Hasbro to take into account smokers and that kind of thing. It's going to happen. Eventually. I can't smoke in this place. I have to go outside. Tried quitting a couple times, didn't take, but yeah. Everyone else seems pretty safe, and I don't expect Silverbolt to get any worse. He still looked white enough, but yeah, that's the main issue out of the way. There is another one, but we'll get to that in the combine mode. I think I've mentioned it in the Betatron review as well, Scattershot. Let's have a look at him. Nice head sculpt, very evocative of Silverbolt. White with the blue eyes and the silver face. Nice paint detail on the chest. It's that nice combination again of the white, black, red and orange that I really dig with these figures. I remember, probably mentioned this as well, Chris McFeely in one of his Metrodome commentaries was like, the Aerialbots come across as boring because they're all jets, but at least they're not all the same jet. But they carry that similar colour scheme. Air Raid, Silverbolt, and Alpha Bravo especially. Fucking Skydive does he? He fucking rocks the boring like you wouldn't believe. And Firefly it's got none of the orange on him, but still, it seems to be a consistent colour scheme, and it works. I really like it, because one of my main issues with Beta Scattershot was he was all red, or mostly red, so we'll get to the comparisons in a bit, but nice chest detail with the silver paint in those vents, the Autobot symbol there, the shoulders in black really make it stand out more. It's nice black shoulders, orange upper biceps, and then white forearms with some orange on the back as well, and then the black fists. I just like how this colour scheme goes together. It just works so nice. And you've got, again, two little orange things that are Superion's horns that come through nicely just to break up the red and the white a little bit before we go back into orange. And then white, and then orange, and then black, red, white, black. It's really nicely done, this figure. I do like the paint scheme on it. And the paint applications are all placed really well. The placement is bang on the money, in my opinion. And then there's obviously the jet kibble around the back. You can have the wings out a little bit if you want, just to offset it. But there are little, if you look in there, those little slots, so the wings do tab in. I tend to have it like that. Well, I tend to have them combined, but in individual robot mode, I tend to have his like that. I think I have Scattershot splayed a little bit, but I don't know. Either way works fine, I guess. But I tend to keep it like that. Points of articulation, ball joint head. It can go 360, but it's tight because of these little ridges that come up on the shoulders. Arms, nice ratchety arms there on the shoulders. More ratchets. Sounds good, this figure does. And the upper bicep swivel there. Elbows move. The wrists, I mean, you can, mainly for the combination, but there's some wrist action. No waist swivel. It's not really needed though. Nice clicky legs, but they're required to click. They go out, they go forward, back to those loud clicks. You've got the thigh swivels as well, and a double jointed knee. So, but it is hard with the kibble. I'll bring his leg forward. Now, I'm guessing the double jointed knee is for combination, because if you do it that way, it works. If you try it with the lower part of the knee joint, it gets hindered by this panel here. You can see it there, look. So yeah. And some foot action. Just a bit of up and down tilt there. All in all, it's a nice figure. It's before Combiner Wars came out, the only combat, I've mentioned this in my Titans Return gushing fucking jizz my pants video that I did. Before Combiner Wars came out, the only ones I had Combiner wise were Revenge of the Fallen Superion and Fall of Cybertron Bruticus, as well as a couple of Micromaster ones from Energon, Devastator and Defensor, I believe. So I didn't really have that many combiners, but I always liked the idea of combiners. And the Revenge Superion was basically the Energon Superion Maximus repainted, and it wasn't that good. It was okay for what it was at the time, I believe. For me personally, because I didn't have many combiners, and as much as I love G1 in the cartoon, excuse me, I'm not a big fan of G1 toys. I have very few G1 toys. I believe G1 Power Master Prime, Slag and Snarl, and Ultra Magnus. They're the only G1 figures that I can think of off the top of my head that I own. Because when I started doing, it goes back to Transformers the soap, I needed to be able to make scenes and have them articulate and express. And I needed articulate figures for that. And G1 figures couldn't do that for me. So picking up a G1 Superion was never an option. So I had to make do with the Revengi one, which, like I said, it was okay for the time. It just didn't age well, and it's not a very good toy. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm so fond of Silverbolt and most of the other Aerialbots, because G1 looks, Alpha Bravo wasn't in G1, but still, they combine, they have their robot modes, their jet modes, and they're articulate. So maybe there's a little bit of bias, maybe I'm being too lenient with these figures, because the only other one I had was the bad Superion. But even so, it's still good. I still like this figure. There's nothing wrong with it. The kibble is what it is for a jet. You have that with most of the jets. I mentioned this with the other jets I've reviewed. It's a tricky situation, especially with an air vehicle, to hide it all. And you can do it in animation, you can just not draw it in, or in the comics you just don't draw it in, but with the toys it's got to go somewhere. Anyway, I think I've talked enough about the robot mode. I'm going to do a comparison with Scattershot now. We'll see how the two measure up. Okay, so comparison time with Silverbolt and Scattershot. I do have Cyclonus, but we'll do that when we get to him. Obviously the head sculpts are different. Scattershot has that, his whole face is blue. I'd have liked his visor to be a different colour, but can't quite remember off the top of my head whether it was a different colour in the cartoon or not. But yeah, maybe break continuity just to break that up a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Chests seem identical. Let's bring them back a bit so I can get them both in frame. Now the chests seem identical, but Silverbolt has the nicer paint job because Scattershot is just red all over, like a newspaper. Shoulders, same moulding. I believe with these two the moulding is exactly the same, bar the head and the wings. Forearms are the same. Waists are the same. Not too fond of these pins in his upper thighs at the hips being visible. I'd like those to have been flipped around, but it's not a game breaker. Thighs. Yep, they're the same. I think it's identical all round moulding with the exception of the head and the wings, which is a shame in a way because Scattershot wasn't a full-on Silverbolt repaint, was he? I can forgive the red, the fucking miles and miles of red, but because that was his colour scheme. But it just, I'd like the mould to be a little bit different. Go around the back quickly. Sides first, and then we'll go around the back. It's like that fucking Genesis video, isn't it? I can't dance. I can't dance. I used to be able to. Studied at college. Forearms are the same. Oh, that's the same down there. Just all red, whereas Silverbolt's is broken up with some white at the bottom. Stand up, bitch. Stand up, bitch. Good bitch. Good bitch. Yeah, right around the back. There's those little hollow bits, but it's not as bad. I mean, at least I've tried to cover it. It's not as bad as some of the other ones that have massive hollow calves. Obviously, the nose cone and the wing assembly is different. And yeah, I liked Scattershot's jet mode because it did look very otherworldly. He was created on Cybertron by Grimlock, so it fits. But we'll get to Silverbolt's jet mode in a sec. It's yeah, nothing really different. Wings, nose cone, and the heads are the only differences thus far. Let's look at Silverbolt's jet mode, and then we can do the comparison with Scattershot's jet mode. Okay, so right off the bat, Silverbolt's jet mode does have that issue with the arms. Again, you can mask the legs by using the Superion chest to cover that up a bit more. You need to bring them back for having it landing, because otherwise he just wobbles. You'll see when we get to the comparison, I've got Scattershot in that situation already. So yeah, there's the obvious underside issues. The arms. And, you know, you can forgive the legs when they're when it's landed on the ground, because you're not going to look under the jet like that, are you? So yeah, having those and exposing the legs a little bit, having those open, exposing the legs is more reasonable there. Still got the massive hole in the back, but you know, as a jet mode, it's, you know, the underside is still that typical combiner transformer jet underside where there's going to be visible robot parts. The top's nice though. It is again, it's got the orange and the white, the black, and a little bit of red with the Autobot symbols, and some nice sculpted detail on the wings and the fuselage, is it? I don't know. But then there's that nice orange stripe that goes down the side that really makes it pop, coupled with the black nose cone. The fins are nice as well. I'll just, you know, if you look at it from there, it looks great. Look at it from there, it looks decent. Look at it from there, not so great, but it hides its flaws better than some, is the best way to describe it, I think. All in all, you know, you have to give them credit though. It's a robot, it's a jet, and it's a torso. This was never going to be an easy task, and it's, you know, back in the 80s especially. But yeah, they've come a long way with it, because now you've got articulate robots, articulate torsos, and the jet as well. So, you know, credit to them for that. It's the nose cone comes down for some reason. A bit of Viagra, Cybagra. Don't know why. Maybe it tucks around in one of the modes. I don't know. We'll get to that in a minute when we've done the comparison with Scattershot. So what I was talking about with the Superion chest, it hides the legs well in the jet mode when it would be airborne. You've got the landing gear there that comes out, just there, see, and then, but if you need the chest parts open, because that lines up the landing gear at the front with the faux landing gear on his legs or the Superion chest pieces. If you don't, if I close that up quickly, then it rocks from side to side. But again, if you're gonna have it landing, it's not as egregious when it's in its landed state or grounded state, because no one can get under there to look for robot legs. You could go in that gap, I guess, but yeah, it's not so bad because you don't see the underside as much. Let's put his fin back up. This is really hard because they're two Voyager figures, they're big. I might have to just go up here just to do the comparison. Obvious differences, the nose cones are different. Scattershot has the massive fucking blaster on the front, Silverbolt doesn't. Cockpits are a little further back as well. Scattershot has the little cockpit there. Silverbolt has the standard cockpit at the front. Another obvious difference is the wings. And here's a thing that I've realised with Scattershot. An issue that Silverbolt doesn't suffer from is there's that gap there. There's actually quite a couple of gaps. If you look just there and behind, but the back one isn't as bad. Silverbolt doesn't have those. That all is all flushed in, filled in nicely. So yeah, there's point to Silverbolt for having a more solid jet mode, but you know, Scattershot's full of gaps at the back, so you can't really say it's a bad thing, I guess. The top fins here, let's have a look. That's a gun, and Silverbolt's is just a standard fin because Silverbolt is based on a more earthen vehicle mode. Scattershot appears to have the guns there as well, but you know, all in all, they look remarkably different in their jet modes. You can still tell they're the same mould, and you can tell they're the same mould in their robot modes and their torso modes as well. Some nice panel detail on, Silverbolt's wings there. I believe these parts here are the same on both. It's just Silverbolt has his painted silver. But yeah, that's but then it's sort of like that's where it ends in terms of the similarities before it branches out into its different moulding, because Silverbolt has the flat wings and Scattershot has, even with these massive guns taken out of the equation, you've still got that bit, which is painted nicely in silver. Also, Silverbolt has fuller thigh coverings and Scattershot doesn't, which I'm actually curious about, because I think I mentioned they're identical before, didn't I, in their robot modes. So let's have a look. Have I missed something then? What if I've missed something? Oh shit, sorry. I know I'm apologising to you. I think what it might be is when you see them in the leg mode, you only see the lower part. You don't see the upper part because of this. So I think I didn't notice that these bits were shorter than these bits. I think that's where the issue came in, because it was all hidden away. So yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, those are the jet comparisons. You can tell they're the same mould, even in the jet modes, but they're different enough. And like I said, I do like Scattershot's more futuristic, more alien-looking jet, but that doesn't mean Silverbolt's a bad jet either, because he does pull off that G1 Silverbolt look very nicely. Right, let's get to the... I'm going to do a quick comparison with the torsos before I show off the full Superion mode. Just see if there's any differences that I missed. Right, so there's the Superion torso and the Betatron torso. We're just looking for any differences. One thing I have on mine is that one of the horns, because they're soft plastic, like rubber plastic, one of them doesn't sit flush forward. It tends to just like droop back a little bit. But whereas his is actually more rigid. But let's take a look at the heads. Both very nice heads. But both, for all intents and purposes, the same head. They're painted up slightly differently. Silverbolt has the there's no break. Oh fucking hell. Between the visor and the mouth guard. It's like straight up red and then straight up silver. Whereas Betatron has the black that breaks up the, I'm trying not to touch it, visor and the mouth guard. So it makes it pop a little bit better, I think. Adds a little bit of difference to it. I don't know why, but fucking Betatron's head seems to be shinier than Silverbolt. Superion, sorry, is looking a little bit more matte. But yeah, same head sculpts and same chests as well, I believe. Just Superion's is painted with the white midriff, and Betatron's is all red. Yeah, there's no differences in paint there. The shoulder connectors appear to be the same, just in different colours. And the legs and the crotch area. Oh, I've missed a bit on Betatron. Yeah, that's supposed to... Come on. Good bitch. Sorry about that. Yeah, there was a massive gap in Computron's belly, or Betatron's belly. Same, pretty much, all around there. No real differences in moulding, just in the colour. I've said the only difference is between these two moulds, other than the colour, the only sculpting differences are the Superion and the Silverbolt and Scattershot heads, the nose cones and the wings. Everything else is pretty much the same. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get to the Superion review. Okay, so here is the fully combined Superion mode. I did that thing with Alpha Bravo, where I did it like that, and there's no obstruction. There might be a minor bit if you want to flex the arm up, but these wings are flexible. These propellers or rotators are flexible enough that I don't think they do any lasting damage. But you can have it like that or like that. If you want to avoid that altogether. It looks great, this does. It proportions nicely. It just all in all, I really like this. And yeah, I'm glad I got to do like a proper version instead of just having drag strip as the other arm, because there was that issue that I've talked about many times where Menasor was cancelled. They went with 4 out of 5 with this, intending to go wave 2, the last Aerialbot, and the rest of the Stunticons. That didn't really come to pass over here properly, but I've got a Menasor, so I'm happy. But yeah, I'm glad that I've got to do like a somewhat full Superion, because I still don't have Slingshot or Quick Slinger or Nose Cone, as I called him, or Right Head Fred, we'll go with that. And my configuration, I'm not going to do multiples with this, because I've got the version I want. I have my definitive Superion here with Alpha Bravo as the arms and Air Raid as the arms, because Air Raid doesn't work as a leg. I don't like Air Raid's leg mode that much. If you've watched that review, you'll know why. Firefly as a leg, he does well as an arm as well, I guess, but I've got, for the purposes, I've got Alpha Bravo up here as the arm. When I do my top 10 combiners, or rank my 10 combiners, I might swap them around then. But for now, I'm pretty much set on the mode I've got, which is obviously Silverbolt torso, Air Raid arm, Alpha Bravo arm, Firefly as a leg, and Skydive as a leg, because he bores the fuck out of me, so he can be at the bottom. Yeah, and also a benefit that this particular mold has that other ones don't, the fists. They yeah, you still got Silverbolt's fist visible. You can put them up like that, but that just looks a bit silly. I tend to tuck them down because it also adds a bit of support for the back of the calves of Superion, those two leg limbs. It adds a little bit of support there. I do like this. I like all my combiners, even Lyo Kaiser, because like I said, 5 out of 6. Is he the best? No. I don't even think Devastator would be my top one when it comes to ranking them. I think I know who will be, but I'm not going to spoil that. But he's up there. His when it comes to the 10, he's definitely top 5. Maybe top 3. Don't know. It's going to be an interesting one, because as I've gone through this reviews, I kind of found Optimus Maximus growing on me while I was reviewing Betatron. So it's going to be interesting to sort these 10 out when I get to it. But I've got time to do that, because I've got to get through Titan's Return and Power of the Primes, obviously. But at the end of my Combiner Wars run, I'll do a top 10 of the individual figures. That will be interesting. But yeah, Silverbolt, Combiner Wars, Silverbolt. But yeah, Superion, Combiner Wars, Superion. I do like it. It's a great fucking figure, a great set. He's boring. He's like the Dezaras of Superion, in my opinion. Well, no, he isn't really, because Dezaras shouldn't have even been in fucking Lyo Kaiser. But yeah, he's the weakest of the bunch when it comes to it. Alpha Bravo's nice. Air Raid has good intentions. It's a good mold, and I see what they were trying to go for. Just doesn't quite. There's a difference between intention and execution. That phrase was thrown around a lot for Batman v Superman. But Firefly's a nice little scrappy. He's like the little Aerialbot that could. And like I said, I'm maybe a bit biased because he was my champion in Earth Wars. And Silverbolt's a decent figure as well. So really no complaint, very few complaints about this, because I looked at him as I said no complaints and realised yes there are. But anyway, the Superion. Would I recommend it? Yes. I heard the gift set has like the white fists and hands. I think that's why Mike sold me Air Raid, because he had the Unite Warriors gift set. And yeah, so I don't have any Unite Warriors gift sets, but I'm fine with that. Yeah, I would definitely recommend picking up Superion. There's yes, it's all, well, not all jets, but it's mostly jets, but they're all different jets. You've got your helicopter, you've got Silverbolt, you've got Air Raid is a different jet to Firefly, who's a different jet to Skydive. He's that boring, I can't even remember his name. Would I like to have Quickslinger or Slingshot or whatever it's called, Right Said Fred? Yeah, but I'm not anxious to get him. I'm more than happy with Alpha Bravo as the other limb. Perfectly fine with it. Very good set. Like I said, might be my top 3. If it doesn't crack the top 3, it's definitely top 5. So yeah, it's definitely in that upper half of combiners for me. I only own 10 and only 9 of them are Combiner Wars, but yeah, he's definitely up there. So I would definitely recommend picking this guy up if you can, whether it be gift set or the individual figures themselves. Anyway, I've talked enough about Superion. He is a superior toy, in my opinion. And next up, we have Menasor. And I've gone on about it enough, haven't I, the Menasor stuff. I was angry, well, not angry, I was irritated that they went there. I get the intention with Hasbro releasing 4 out of 5 and then one of the Menasor limbs as a taster, but they just bitched out with the rest of it in mass retail. But I was able to get them, and I was able to get them for reasonable prices. And so I've been, that situation's absolved for me now. I don't really want to go into it anymore, so I won't. But yeah, next up's Menasor. We'll go with drag strip, and I'm not gonna do alternating limbs like I did with Lyo Kaiser and to a lesser degree Optimus Maximus, because we're getting further into the Combiner Wars line now in terms of the toys I own, so there's going to be more comparisons. Every Menasor piece, the torso and the limbs are all going to have comparisons with them, so they're not going to be short reviews. Earlier on, you noticed me Ironhide and Prowl reviews, they were like 10-15 minutes long, and then the ones after that have become longer, that almost double, because I've got the comparisons with Sunstreaker and Wheeljack, Smokescreen, Prowl and Streetwise, that kind of thing. Dragstrip will be compared with Mirage. Can't remember the other limbs names. I know there's another version of that, the original probably of that, because that would have come first. There's the van, again, the Ironhide Trailbreaker one. I will learn the names. There's just so many. And with limbs, with combiners, it's hard to keep track of everybody. Because I'm doing like a Superion review, but I'm also Silverbolt. Fucking M. And it just all bleeds and mushes. And it's hard to keep track of all the names. Because I can remember the fucking combine names fine. We're doing Menasor next. Motormaster in his arms and legs with drag strip, and I know there's breakneck and off-road. I think off-road's the Ironhide Trailbreaker version. I'm going way off on one here, aren't I? I'm fucking just, you see what I mean about it getting longer and longer, because I talk bollocks enough as it is. So, but yeah, each limb and the torso for Menasor will be combined with previous ones that compared with previous ones that came before it. So the reviews are going to get longer. Menasor won't have a limb rotation thing, because by that point I'll just want to move on to the next one. You all probably will as well. So, yeah. Anyway, I've been Mike, Dezaras Prime. This has been the Superion. You shall see me next time. Adidas, amigos.